Tape 3, Leon Zylberman. Mr. Zylberman, you were telling me about when you met your future wife. You were able to move around.
Well, I moved around, then I came into that building going out. There was a young lady standing there, and partially crying, and couldn't stay me there. And
What time of day was it?
That was in the morning, about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. She was supposed to be in the shop, working in the clothing shop there at a certain time. And if, you know, if they had to be punctured, the German got to be perfect on time. And I said to her, "What's the matter, lady? But can't you go out?" "No, I'm afraid." And I said, "Look, lady, I'll take you, and I'll take you in."
How far away did she have to go?
The shop was only about 4 houses to the big shop.
But it wasn't...
My place, on the same street, there used to be before a high school, a school for, like a public, like a high school. And they used that high school for the shop.
Was she in the curfew time?
That was the start of the shop before, but now the curfew is there, you can't walk out, so I took her down there, and ever that time I fell in love with her. I could not get over with her.
What was her name?
Shop.
What was her name?
Her name was Bella.
And her maiden name?
Bella Bloomberg. Well, after the work, 5 o'clock, the shop was, at least everything was back to normal, like supposed to be normal. Until she came out, and of course I looked her up, and she went out, and we used to meet every day. And that was the thing.
When was the date that you met Bella?
The date? No, the date I made that time was 1940, and it was during the summer, around June, July, something. I don't remember the date.
1940?
I don't remember these dates. I don't remember because I just met at that time, and of course then we kept meeting each other. And the ghetto was going on like normal. People were handling.
Do you remember when you had to move into the ghetto? What the date was that the family had to leave the house? What time of year was it?
That was also in the summer. No, it was in fall. In the fall, that we had to move out of our home.
And what was the year?
The year 1941. 1939, and the 1 year was not the ghetto was not the year. They didn't start the ghetto.
So you met Bella?
I met
in
Bella
what year?
in 1940, under 41. At that time.
And when
and
was...
I kept with her contact every day. I couldn't step away from a minute. I was with her.
When was the time that Meyer escaped from Majdanek? What was the date?
When Meyer escaped from Majdanek, when the ghetto was closed already, as I told you before, he got in the ghetto. The huge policeman let him in, and that was around September, no, later. Around October. We started to get this in the fall.
In which year?
42.
And was there an incident with your mother? She had a job?
My mother, she was working in the shop already from before, because we had the children. There at that time said, any mother who works in the shop to have the children safe, they're going to be made a garden and the teachers and some of them the attendant right next to the shop. It was a big lot, and they made that lot for the children. Whoever the mothers works in the shop, they'll be taken care of.
And what did they do in the shop?
In the shop they were making clothes for the Germans, uniforms. For the uniform, for the special thing, it was, I remember there was one of the foremen, I remember his name, Gemeiner. They used to call him, you got the right name, you're Gemeiner. Gemeiner, you're a Bedouin. You know what Gemeiner is in Jewish. He was the foreman that time. He used to take a lot of problem. He was a Polak that time, a partial assessment. The meanest, rottenest thing. They killed him later on after the war. He was killed. He used to go out, get some girls, undress them, and bite their breasts. He used to make so much trouble, so much problem. It is impossible to describe what people went through, whether it was a boy or a girl.
And what happened with your mother?
My mother, she was working in the shop there, she came there at the time on the 13th of September. 13th of September, this I remember.
In which year?
42. 42?
Yeah.
Yes. My mother was in the shop. The children was there around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden the Gestapo came in with the help from the in my mind. I'm trying to Litvin, yeah. They had that time the Litvin was assessment too. And the Latvian also assessment too. Came a group of Litvins in the assessment bureaus with assess and closed around the ghetto and then down to the garden where the children were there. And all the children, they took them out under the gun. Was my brother David, my sister Feigelen, my sister Esther, my sister Manu, and that girl which my mother took from her brother. They all took them out to the Umschlagplatz. From there they sent them to the, we didn't know where they go, we didn't know. They had somebody which paid a Polak and tried to follow to see where did they go. We found out they went to Treblinka. My sister, Manya Alkalan, she was working in the group that time. While you worked in the group, the assessment didn't say. She ran away, she was in a store, there was a cellar where the people were moving out. There was ripped up, some of them pillowcases, pillows, all the feathers. She was hiding in that feathers. And she made it that they didn't get her. All the children. And it was raining outside that time. I remember the rain was, and the Polacks were standing right on sidewalks and looking at us without any mercy, without any feeling what they're doing to the people, the young children and so on. And just picture to see it, what happened. You just picture it now yourself, see hundreds and hundreds of people, young children, babies, going, and some of them couldn't walk. They hit them with the thing, with the gun, and then they go. Some of them they kill them. This was the picture of the 13th of September, which is in my mind. Soon they got away, the shop was closing up, and they all come out. Anybody looked out the windows that time to see, they killed, they shoot in. The women didn't have the right to look out, nobody had the right to look out. And they took children, and then my mother came out there. I was out there, and I see what happened. I see what happened. She said, what do I do? How can I tell my mother? How can my father? So I told my mother, I say, the children, I say, with father. And my father, I told him before, I went up there before she came out, Daddy, the children are with mother. And I tried to, if that moment, if I would not use that lie, my mother would kill herself. She wouldn't live. In fact, she wasn't, ever since that time. Every time she was together, we were in that apartment, me, Maya, and my mother, and my father. Bella was not living with us, she was living someplace else. She never slept a moment. Every time I woke up, my mother was sitting, breaking her hands, my Esther, my daughter, all these things here. And went on like this, eh?
What happened to Moshe? Did you ever hear what happened?
Moshe, no. He must have got killed right after the war, right after they got caught. Maya got back, and Maya was home.
And who else was living with you in the ghetto apartment?
There was other people. I don't remember.
How many
It was a
families?
big apartment.
How many
It was
families?
about 5 or 6 rooms. There was about 5 families.
And
in this
how much room did your family have?
A room maybe smaller than this, half the size of this here was a room.
And what was the situation as far as food? What did you eat? Food.
We used to get a certain quarter every day. There's so much to prepare for everyone. And actually, because we always tried to, if a black market, to get the bread that time. To get the bread that time, you had to give diamonds. There was some bakeries which they also made. There was always corruption.
Was there any extra food available any time?
Extra, not extra. No, whatever they gave us, this was hardly you can make a day by family. They gave you got 400 family, they gave 4 portions. That was it. And that they had to make it, they had to try to struggle. Some of them families tried to send out the children out of the ghetto, to smuggle itself out of the ghetto, try to get something in. So what happened in Polacks, they saw a girl right there, they can recognize it's a Jewish girl, they can tell. And they took him right down to the assess. And they got a vodka, this and that, but they were working together to kill. Everybody had a hand to kill a Jew. It was their pleasure.
When was the last time
We organized ourselves, we tried to organize. At that time, when I was that time already be able to move around, then I couldn't sleep at no night. I had to think, how can I try to preserve my family, my father and my mother, Bella, and to my brother. I tried anything, how to make, you can't hide anymore because you haven't got your own home. You still people around together. So we found out there was a group of people who tried to meet secretly, that there's big buildings there right around the place they were living. Big buildings, which were bumped out. The cellars were strong, massive, heavy. So we looked up the cellars, we said this will be the right place we can hide. And we can see how we can hide. But we have to organize. How can we just hide like this here? We have to have prepared food, water, medicine, anything else, guns. They have to get yourself. So I was the one which I was able to move around. So I had an excuse with the sales. I said, look, they gave me some watches to fix and so on. I said, I need some parts. I have to go out on the other side. I got somebody which I know, they might have some parts. And this was a story to tell them about it. And of course, they gave me the permission, me and a soldier, we will go down there to this last section of Warsaw, like Fifth Avenue here. There was a friend of mine, a Polak, which was so much in love to see when I was working on that clock by hand. He got so involved that he would do anything. He was smuggling himself into the ghetto, which was also against the law, just to do that. He was the one who made us our pictures that time when we were home, when I was still home. But I tried to go to him. I found out where he has his office. So this soldier came out, he was watching me, we were going. I had my Jewish emblem. And I came down to one location, the top location was a delicatessen. He smelled that chazer. He smelled that thing. He said, I'm going to be right out. Warten Sie mal hier. Ich bin gleich out. So I was standing there, friendly with my thing, and they was going out. All different kind of Gestapo assassin. They looked at me with my thing, and I was standing like a frozen one. I was standing like a frozen one, I didn't know. At that moment, a friend of mine, used to be a very partial friend, but he was doing the ghetto. He became a Jew, he was a Jewish policeman, and a Jewish policeman he was that time, but after the ghetto was liquidated and so on, he somehow organized himself. They got a Polish policeman's uniform, so he could move around. He could move around. At that moment, when he was standing there, he was walking by, and I said to him, Stashek. He was arresting his brother. He was a policeman, and he was arresting his brother at that time. I looked him up after the war. I looked him up, and I found him. He told me the story of his life, how he went through so on. He got back his possession that he had before the war. Anyway, this guy came out. The police, the soldier, and we went down to see my friend, which I thought he's going to help me out. Maybe I can try to hide my mother and say. I came in the office. He noticed me. He said, Leon, what are you doing here? I said, look, I want to talk to you. He took me to a different room, the office room. He said, look, I came to you, not that I need help special, but I want my mother and my Bella and my sister. I wanted to hide this safe. He said to me, Leon, it's impossible. You only can hide maybe you. With me, he would have a fortune, because I used to that time, during the war, they were bombed out places from all the most best factories, watches and so on, and I could just make him up and he could make a fortune. So I didn't come just for myself. I don't need myself. I don't want to just save my life and let the rest of my people die. If you can help me out this way, then then I took goodbye. I went back. And he started taking. Yeah, and at that time, I got from him partial for a radio. Because he was all this, he had this kind of radios equipment, all this kind of video. I mean, not videos that time. And I got the radio, and I partial for the radio which I needed, and hid it in my pockets, and I went back to the ghetto.
Was there more than one part of the ghetto in Warsaw?
We only knew only one what we had. There was some other people tried to make it, but it was a very terrible task to go through to find a place where the Polish are not around close, they wouldn't watch it, to prepare yourself. First of all, electricity, we had to get a dynamo machine in order to make the electric. We had to make water, we had to dig a pump, because they knew they're going to shut the water off, shut the electric off. In the Polish, we never helped them, show them how to find it. And then to prepare food, we were figuring that time it would take us 6 months. Because at the time, Stalingrad was a big fight. And the Germans suffered a lot that time in the Stalingrad fight. And we thought that, and then America was involved in the war too, and England was involved in the war too, and the whole world was there, but otherwise, which we knew that Hitler already conquered Europe, conquered the Maginot Line, he conquered them. We knew maybe 6 months we lived. So my mother was trying to she was making the dry stuff like crackers, non-perishable through the whole time. And my father went down right away to the cellar, to that thing, and I remember the last time I shaved him off his beard, and the only thing I got that time is when a chicken we found that we got one of the farmers smuggled himself in and sold that chicken, yes. And the Shoah was living still there, and he killed that chicken, and that was the last chicken soup my father left. I ate, and that was it. Next morning, the supper came up. I had the room, I had the watches and so on. At that time, I was furious. I was breaking up some watches on the and I got caught, me, my brother, Maya, my mother, and Bella. We got caught down there. It was on May the 3rd, 1943.
The part of the ghetto that you lived.
That time was also the time, during the time before was the Passover, Pesach, before Pesach was the uprising.
Was that in the same part that you lived?
Huh?
Was that the same part
No,
of the ghetto?
uprising was not the same, but uprising was in the big ghetto. In the big ghetto there was uprising because there was people found out that all this lies they told us we're going just to work. We knew we were going just to be slaughtered like the sheep. And the young ones already organized themselves. There was a shop that they were making the Gestapo, the SS uniforms. A group of young boys somehow got a hold of some of the uniforms, and they disguised themselves. They got about before they had to get prepared with some guns. They got some Polish interpreter, mediator, and he got them the guns. They didn't tell them the bullets. They had trouble to get the bullets. When they got the bullets and the guns, they got already prepared with the uniforms. They went out there in the front. They knew the day they were going to come, the USS come to catch the people like the dogs for the slaughter. And they were out there in the front there. Soon the Gestapo came over, the SS came over there. The young boys, they looked just like their own people. They didn't know. The young ones opened fire and killed them all, like the dogs, and killed them all. But this wasn't the end. The next morning, the airplane came over and bombed out the whole ghetto. It was nothing. Whoever was trying to save himself ran in the sewer line, and they put the gas, the tear gas, whatever kind of gas, they had to come out and be slaughtered right down there. It was a picture. I don't know where was God that time. Anyway, this was the thing. And we were taken away by train.
But your part of the ghetto, your part of the ghetto was not the same part where they had the uprising.
No. My part of the ghetto was, there was a German assessment. He was running that ghetto.
What was his name?
He was supposed to be a better, I forgot, I remember the name. I remember him so well. He was talking to us. We will get us to the Red Ghetto. We're going to go down to a different camp, and he wanted to send us. And my wife, Bella, at that time, had signed up that time for that particular place because they want to liquidate the ghetto and take us out to Travniki or Ponatov. Yeah, two places, which they said the Jews will work over there and it will be no problem good. They used to get some letters from them, from Jews who went down over there, and used to send out letters which was encouraging. It wasn't so bad. It was good. We had food, we worked, and that's all. And Bella at that time signed up herself to go to this Ponatov. I found out, she told me that she's going to go down there, and already we had been intuition, we knew that this is a trick we're going to give us there. We made songs, we made small songs like this, Ponatov, and I took her off the list. I said, no, you're not going to go down there. But when we got caught, and we all had to went down there to go to Majdanek, that was the time when I felt so bad that I didn't know at that time, because I found out later on that Ponatov, where they were supposed to go, nobody got out alive. So she got caught and she went down and met with me to Majdanek.
What happened to your father, Mr. Zylberman?
My father, I didn't know nothing. I didn't know ever that time he ate that soup, and we got caught. We got caught. And we got away. I haven't heard from him nothing. I went down that time to Sachsenhausen, I'm sure later on. We went down to Majdanek, and my mother, she hardly could walk. At the time when we were down there was a place, an entrance place, before we got down to the death camp. So my mother was there, my Bella was with me, my brother. No, my brother wasn't with me. My brother tried to jump the train. My brother was with me that time. And Anand was his name.
What was her name?
Anand, I forget the name. And we were talking that time, me and my Bella, and my mother at the end came over to me, and to Bella, and said, look, you know, you are both in love. Why don't you give yourself a vow? that you're going to get married. Anyway, he was saying, well, then they came downstairs, we took us walking down to the Majdanek entrance. We didn't walk like we were going to the normal. There were the stairs on both sides. Standing, whoever walks through that thing like a brand, and they were hitting. I know my mother shouldn't make it. I don't want her to get killed right down there. So I took her right near the door to the Majdanek, to the guest chamber. That was the end. I never saw my mother again. Never saw my father again. And
what did you hear about what happened to Zysel?
uh,
To Zysel?
the Zysel, my sister, I heard in Radom. She was living in Radom. She was once before, I skipped one thing before, which I didn't mention, that she came out as the house also. She hitchhiked with their cess truck. They came to see us. At that time, I remember, I'll never forget that day. It was on a Friday night. Somehow we had the family, me, my father, and my mother, and my sisters at that time, before this whole thing happened. And we only had that turkey that time, got from a farmer, but we didn't have no bread. My sister came at that time. It was a Friday night, and we was ready to sit down and have that dinner, but with no bread. She knocked at the door, she comes in, and she brought us. She knew the hunger in Warsaw was terrible because with the bread, about a diameter, about 20-inch diameter. And that was the happiest time we had together with my sister.
Did you ever see her again?
Never.
Do you know what happened to her?
It was told in Radom, they came up, the Gestapo, same thing, in January that time. And they had everybody out there, took them to different camps, and got killed.
Was that,
My
what year was that?
My brother became there that time in a different camp near Radom. He became like a partial couple, which I never wanted to hear from him anymore because he got killed after the war. The boys hated him so much. So after the war, they took revenge on some of them collaborators. He was considered partially collaborated, and they killed him too. Which I never said Kaddish for him. Kaddish for my sister. My brother, when he got into the death camp, the Majdanek, he knew already because he was before there. He ran a different before. He knew already the place that was better. There was a group, a certain section, which was the soldiers, the Polish soldiers, wherever there was the prisoners of war. He was there together with them. I was told that time in the beginning that he was over there, he was good, he was playing, he used to like to gamble, playing cards. And of course one day I was told that I came over, nobody got out of there. I never saw him again. Never him, never my brother, my Moshe, never my mother, never my father. That was it. It was cutting card from the tree, cutting card branches. I'm a softie. I can't hold it sometimes. I have to cry.
This is the end of tape 3.